Hi, in this video, I'm going to show you a sample solution for building a robot. The questions that I show in this video is a little different than your assignments, so you cannot follow it verbatimly. However, you can use a step that I use to solve the questions that you have. So here's the scenario. You are leading a group that is designing and building a robot. The group is divided into several teams. The following table indicates the different activities that go into this complex process. Which teams are in charge of which activities, the number of individuals from the team dedicated to the activity, how long the activity will likely take, and which activity must be completed before an activity can be started. So here's the table. This table is slightly different than yours. It doesn't have as many activity, but it has the majority of them. In this column right here under activity lists the name of the activities. The second column listed the time to complete in weeks. Okay, so for example, sensory program take 5 weeks. The third column lists which activity must be finished before it could be started. So for example, this first activity, sensory program, it listed none, meaning it could be started without anything is completed. So this is like the beginning activity. And here's a team. The first 3 activities are under Department Computer Programmers, and then the next 3 are under Department of Engineers, and then the rest of them are under Department of Technicians. The last is the number of members in each team. So first, question 1. Using the information in the first 3 columns of the table, build an activity graph, include start and finish boxes. I encourage you don't have to do it using this program that I'm using. You can use by hand, except I think this program is amazing. It creates beautiful program and easily, and it's free. So I'm going to show you how to do this. Step 1, go to the draw.io. And step 2, if you can, when you're watching this, you can pause this video. You can go to that draw.io, okay, and then create a new diagram. Type your name, let's say PERT robot underscore your name, let's say my name is PST. Okay, and start a blank diagram. Click create. Okay, once you're in the diagram, let's uncheck the grid right here. Okay, and make sure the size of the paper is letter size 8x7 and do landscape. Click landscape. Okay, then you can close this editor. Over here you can adjust the size of your pictures of your diagram. If you want to see a big picture of your diagram, you can make it smaller so you show the whole page in the screen. Over here you can drag and drop. See, you can drag and drop rectangle or shape. Once you drag and drop it, you can type your name, type whatever you want to type. And if you want to see clearer, you can zoom in and you can see start. And this is if you look at this, parallelogram is the shape that we're going to use for activities, and this arrow right here is the arrow that we're going to use for a single arrow. So these are only 2 things that we're going to use, and once you complete it, you can save it. Okay, all right, let's look at. So I just walk you through how to set up all this using the screen that I showed you. So now go to the next. So step 1, for you to start, look at the list of activity and look over the must first finish activity, which is the third column. Look for none, which is the first activity you are going to create. So using the draw.io, create 3 parallelogram shapes of this activity and connect to start with one-way arrow. And then in each box, you should enter the name of the activity with the short, the short terms, and then the time that required for the activity to complete. So once you can pause the video if you need to. Once you complete, it should look like this. This is just the beginning stage. You have a start, you have a sensory program, SP, and then it takes 5 weeks to complete, and the second activity, and the third activity. Okay? And it takes 4 weeks to complete. So make sure you enter this information accurately based on the table. Alright. The next step, we're gonna find what activity that could be done after you completed the XP. After we finish the SB one, then we go to the AL one, and then we go to the BD one. Okay, so now step 8, we are going to complete one path at a time. Cross out activity on the table that we have already built. For path that started with sensory program, look for activity that require SP to complete. Look for activity that has SP listed under must first finish activity. So from the table, if you look at the third column, you see SP. That means you need to finish SP before you can start motion program. So you need to finish SP and AL before you start motion program, but SP is one of them. So we are going to connect motion program and SP. Okay, so how do you do that? You create a parallelogram shape for M and ED, connect to SP with single arrow. And this is how it's gonna look. So iDesign is connected to SP. It takes 6 weeks, and motion is also connected to SP. It takes 12 weeks. The reason I put motion at the bottom because I look at the table and I see motion is needed for other activities as well, and I just leave in the middle because I also see motion is also connected to AL, so I put it next to it so that my graph look nicer. So now we need to find something that connect to AL. For the path that started with artificial intelligence AL, look for activity that require AL to complete. Look for activity that has AL listed under must first finish, which is right here. Okay, motion is require AL to complete before it can start. So then I will connect the existing M to AL with a single arrow. I don't need to create new box for this case. So this is how you're gonna look using the draw.io program. Okay, so I just add a arrow connected to the motion. All right, next we're gonna find activity that connect to BD. So for path that started with body design, BD, look for activity that require BD to complete. Look for activity that has BD listed under must first finish. So I look at the table, I see torso assembly, TA. Okay, so this is a new activity, so I will create a parallelogram named torso assembly, TA, and including the week, which is 3 weeks, and connect to BD with a single arrow. So once you complete, it looks like that. Okay, torso assembly, TA, and 3 weeks. Okay, so we're gonna go to the next one. So now connect to ED. ED is the iDesign because I'm just go from top to bottom, top to bottom. Once I completed everything at the bottom, I went up to the top to see what else could be connected. So for path that ended with iDesign, look for activity that require ED to complete. Look for activity that has ED listed under must first finished. So then in this sample, we have ED, Okay, so it takes 7 weeks, and then connect to ED with single arrow. So in your assignment, make sure you look at your table, use the same process. However, some of the connection might be different and some of the number of weeks are different. So make sure you look carefully. And once you complete it, let's look like this. Body design connected to torso. Okay, head assembly connected to ED. Okay, takes 7 weeks. Next, what's connected to M? For path that ended with motion M, look for activity that require M to complete under the third column. Okay, in this example, we have arm and leg design require M to be completed before it can be started. So you create a parallelogram as say arm and leg design and with a single arrow. So once you have that, arm and leg design ALD, 5 weeks. Okay. All right. Step 12. Connect to ALD. For path that ended with arm and leg design ALD, look for activity that require ALD to complete. Under the third column, ALD is needed to be completed before we can start ALA. So we'll create a parallelogram named Arm and Leg Assembly ALD 7 and connect to ALD in a single arrow like that here. I created this parallelogram connect with ALD and make sure I listed the time there. So now after I check off everything, we have the last activity to connect, which is the final assembly. I'm sorry, FA. Okay, in this sample we have final assembly needed 3 activities to be completed before they can put it together. So I only going to create one parallelogram named final assembly FA5 because it takes 5 weeks and connect to TA, HA, and ALA with a single arrow each. And it should look like that. So this is the PERT chart part. In the next video, I'm going to show you how to complete the rest of the questions using this PERT chart. Stay tuned.